You were the extra child we never wanted. My parents said on our birthday, my spoiled twin brother got a car, I got an adoption file, now I'm heir to millions and they're begging back. You ever walk into your own house and feel like a background character in someone else's highlight reel? That's basically my life since I could crawl. 16 years old, identical twin brother, same DNA. But apparently in my parents' eyes, one of us popped out as a golden retriever and the other as a stray mutt. I'll give you one guess which role I got. Our living room wall is the perfect example. Every square inch is a shrine to Logan. Action shots of him in soccer, team photos, school pictures, and frames that actually match. The best I've got up there is a blurry printout from an old inkjet where I'm standing behind him, cropped halfway out like a photobomb. My father loves to stand in front of that wall like he's the curator of some museum. He'll fold his arms, nod, and hit his line. We invest where it counts. And what he means is that all the cash and time goes straight into Logan, because apparently I was born as a long-term bad stock. My mother's line is even better. Whenever I pointed out that Logan gets the new cleats, the new clothes, the cash for whatever, she'd cut me off with, "You should be grateful you're included." Yeah, nothing screams motherly love like reminding your kid he's lucky to even be allowed to stand in the photo. And don't think this is a one-off. This is every single day of my life. Birthdays, sports, money, supplies, different aisles, same receipt. His cake lit like Times Square. Mine a test swatch. Dad's folding chair lived at Logan's soccer field. He never learned my gym's address. $80 into his shoes, 20 into my leftovers, and a backpack that squeaked like a shopping cart. Whenever I asked why, Dad said, "We invest where it counts." And Mom said, "Be grateful you're included." Translation: success has more zipper compartments. The cherry on top was how they hyped Logan to everyone like he'd invented oxygen. Family dinners with relatives turned into Logan Appreciation Hour. My aunt asked me once what classes I liked, and before I could answer, my mother jumped in with, "Logan's teacher says he's a natural leader." I sat there chewing my food, wondering why I even bothered opening my mouth. Logan lapped it up, of course. He's the king of smug little asides. Anytime something went his way, he'd lean over to me and whisper, "Some of us are just built different." Right, built with parents who treat you like a human investment fund. Logan wasn't even subtle about it. New shoes? He'd walk past me slow so I'd notice the logo. New phone? He'd hold it up and accidentally blind me with the brightness. My mother would tell him not to brag, but you could tell she loved it. My father would pat him on the back like he just closed $1 million deal. Meanwhile, I'm sitting there in hand-me-down sneakers, 2 sizes too big, pretending I don't notice my socks slipping off. Then comes the next part of my parents' play, the party. Turning 16 in my house wasn't a birthday. It was a circus. Logan was the ringmaster, my parents were the barkers, and I was the clown in the background nobody paid to see. They went all out. Streamers hanging from the ceiling, balloon arches, a rented speaker blasting music loud enough to annoy the whole block. On the wall, giant letters spelled out Sweet 16. The N slipped halfway down, sagging over my side of the room. Perfect metaphor. The living room was wall-to-wall bodies. Neighbors, family, random people I barely knew, but who showed up because they knew my parents were putting on a show for Logan. The gift table was overflowing. Neatly wrapped boxes with shiny bows, every tag saying "To Logan." My corner had 2 flat envelopes. Everyone knew how this worked by now. Logan's pile was the preferred shares. I was the tax write-off. My mother kept buzzing around him like a stylist, straightening his collar, smoothing his hair, reminding him not to slouch because good posture photographs well. I asked if I looked fine. She didn't even glance up. Don't embarrass me. That was her only contribution. Then my father took center stage like he was announcing the winner of a prize fight. He clinked his glass and yelled for quiet. The room hushed instantly. He pulled out a little box, held it up dramatically, and passed it to Logan. Logan flipped it open, and the shiny fob of a brand new car key glittered in the light. The room exploded. People cheered. Phones flashed. Someone yelled, "Start it up!" My father puffed his chest out. This is an investment in the future that matters. He loved that line. He'd been sitting on it for weeks. Everyone nodded like he'd just delivered gospel. Logan stood up and gave his coin flip smile, the one where his mouth twists just enough to let you know he thinks he's above everyone else. He dangled the key fob between 2 fingers like a runway model, tilted his head for the cameras and said, "Guess I'm driving now." His little fan club roared. Then it was my turn. My mother stepped up, folder in hand. Manila, heavy. Marker scrawled across the front. Adoption. Baby B. She slid it toward me like she was serving dessert. "You've always wanted honesty. There it is. She said it with the same tone someone uses when they give you socks for Christmas. I opened it. First page, hospital intake forms. Baby A and Baby B scribbled on top. Baby A, Logan. Baby B, me. Next page, a draft letter of relinquishment with both their signatures half written. Next, a blurry photo of two newborns in plastic anklets. Baby A circled. Baby B crossed out. Then a letter from the couple who almost took me, explaining they couldn't stomach separating twins. My father chuckled. Clarity builds character. My mother added, be grateful. We chose to keep you, as if nearly trading me away was a noble sacrifice. The room went dead silent. Guests shifted uncomfortably, but nobody said anything. Logan broke the tension. He leaned down, close enough only I could hear. Some of us get cars, some of us get paperwork. Don't be jealous. Then he grinned at the crowd, raised the fob high, and strutted out to the driveway like a champion walking to his victory parade. Half the guests followed him without hesitation, ready to see the new toy in action. I stood up, folder clutched under my arm, and walked out. My father intercepted me at the end of the driveway, spreading his arms like he was a nightclub bouncer. Logan sat in the driver's seat of his new car, revving the engine like he was auditioning for a parking lot sequel. The horn blasted. My father boomed, "You're not walking away until you show respect to your family." Family. Right. The same people who just handed me proof I was the unwanted twin. My father's voice carried across the street, loud enough that neighbors stepped out onto porches. He kept yelling about gratitude, about how hard it was to make the tough call to keep me, about how I should thank them for their sacrifice. Logan slammed the gas pedal, tires screeching, smoke puffing from the wheels, laughing through the window like it was the funniest thing he'd ever seen. I didn't answer. I walked past my father, folder tight under my arm, and kept moving. People parted like they didn't want to be in the blast radius. My father shouted after me, "Don't forget who raised you." Raised me? More like tolerated me. The next morning at school, I pulled the folder out in homeroom and slid it onto my teacher's desk. I knew she could actually help me figure out what I was looking at. She flipped through the first few pages, her face tightening, then told me to wait in the office. About 10 minutes later, my mother stormed down the hallway like she owned the place. She made a beeline for the desk, hand out like she was grabbing a winning lottery ticket. "That's private family business." "Hand it back." She said it loud enough for half the hallway to hear. My teacher stepped in, picked up the folder before my mother could, and said flatly, "This isn't private. When a student asks for help, they receive it." Then she walked off with it, leaving my mother sputtering in front of a crowd of students who'd seen everything. My mother tried to chase him, but the principal intercepted her. Students crowded the hall, whispering, pointing, watching her lose control. I sat there with my bag, finally not invisible for once, but not in the way my parents wanted. By lunch, the whispers had gone viral. Everyone knew. Logan got a car, his twin got adoption papers. Logan was at the center table surrounded by kids begging for rides. He dangled the keys from his finger, a half-tilt grin, answering questions like he was already a celebrity. "Yeah, it's a new model." "Yeah, I'll drive you after practice." Every sentence was another flex. He didn't even have his license yet, but that didn't stop him from acting like the car company should be paying him for promotion. Meanwhile, I sat with my tray, untouched food in front of me, folder gone to the office, but at least out of my parents' hands. Logan saw me across the cafeteria and mouthed, "Jealous?" before turning back to his new fan club. Best present they've ever given me. Not the car, the proof. Things moved fast after that. Not the kind of fast where you suddenly wake up and your problems are gone. More like the kind of fast where your parents screw up so badly that other adults have no choice but to step in and babysit the mess. The folder ended up in the hands of people who actually had authority. Phone calls were made. Meetings were set. My mother tried spinning the story about how she was just being transparent, and my father called it tough love. Nobody bought it. Within a week, I wasn't sleeping in the same house anymore. They called it temporary placement. I called it finally not listening to Logan brag every time he walked past me jingling his car keys. At first, they stuck me with a family that lived across town. Nice enough people, boring house, quiet dinners, no framed photo shrine of Logan on the wall. I could have stayed there and been fine, but then Charles and Eleanor appeared. They weren't relatives, not family friends, just two people who passed the background checks and wanted to step in. My parents, of course, pitched a fit. "He doesn't need strangers. He needs discipline," my father barked at some poor caseworker. My mother piled on, "This is unnecessary. We are his parents. We should decide where he lives." The caseworker nodded politely, scribbled notes, and ignored them. That's how I ended up at Charles and Eleanor's house. First impression, it didn't smell like disappointment. No Logan posters. No trophies I wasn't allowed to touch. They gave me my own room, my own bed, and nobody said, be grateful. They just said, dinner's at 6. Revolutionary concept. My parents couldn't stand it. They started popping up everywhere. First attempt, an ambush. My aunt texted, said she wanted to meet for coffee. I showed up. Guess who was waiting at the table? My father and my mother, grinning like they'd tricked me into attending a family reunion. My father leaned in. We can put this all behind us if you just come home. Logan misses you. My mother chimed in. It's time to forgive. Family comes first. I stood up, said nothing, and walked out. They shouted after me that I was ungrateful. Coffee shop customers got a free show. After that stunt, I sent certified no-contact letters through the caseworker. My father signed his copy with a scribble like he was autographing a fan's t-shirt. My mother circled no contact in red pen and wrote "This is extreme" in the margin. The caseworker pinned the green delivery receipts on Charles and Eleanor's corkboard. Proof that they'd been told. Proof that they couldn't say they didn't know. Then the confession letter arrived. It was a masterpiece of entitlement. My father wrote 3 pages explaining that when they found out they were having twins, it ruined everything. They only wanted one child. They chose me to give up because I was smaller, not as photogenic, and Logan was clearly the stronger option. They had a couple lined up to take me, but those people backed out after seeing the 2 of us together. Too cruel, they said, to split twins. My parents weren't as sentimental. They admitted they considered foster care. In their words, raising you was a burden we accepted out of obligation, not desire. He even explained why they never changed their ways. If they'd started treating me equally, it would have confused Logan. Their words, not mine. He was used to receiving more. It would have been unfair to suddenly reduce his share. So yeah, keeping me down was apparently a mercy for Logan. My mother signed her name at the bottom with a little heart over the I, like it was a valentine. I showed the letter to Charles and Eleanor. They didn't make a speech. They didn't tell me to reflect. They just asked if I wanted it filed away with the folder. I said yes. Eleanor tucked it into a binder labeled Important Papers. My father and my mother thought they were defending themselves. Instead, they handed me evidence written in their own handwriting. 2 days later, the caseworker called. The couple from the letter had answered. They weren't a myth. Retired now, living 2 states over. They'd kept copies of everything they sent the agency. The letter refusing to split twins. A receipt for 2 identical baby hats they bought and never used. We met on video in the caseworker's office. The woman cried once and apologized for it. The man said, "We hoped no one would make you pay for being 2. They emailed scans that showed hospital timestamps matching my folder. I printed them and slid them behind the anklet photo. Corroboration beats nostalgia. School didn't stop being awkward. Logan loved the spotlight. After he finally passed his driving test, he'd drive to practice in his shiny new car, music blasting, windows down, making sure everyone noticed. He parked in the front row like he was the principal. Kids flocked to him for rides. He'd toss his keys in the air, catch them, and wink. If I walked past, he'd grin and say, "Don't worry, man. Maybe you'll get a bus pass for your 18th. His smugness wasn't even creative anymore. Just constant reminders that he was the golden child, and I was the spare part. The best part came at the school awards night. Big auditorium, stage decorated, parents in the crowd. Logan strutted across the stage 3 times, collecting certificates, shaking hands, doing his victory wave. Then came one of those special acknowledgments. The principal paused, thanked the guardians who've gone above and beyond for our students, and called out Charles and Eleanor by name. Spotlight on them. Applause from the crowd. My father's face went red. My mother's fake smile cracked. Logan whispered something to them, and all 3 sat there simmering while Charles and Eleanor got a standing ovation. That night, I made a decision. I was going to end it properly. I talked to the caseworker the next morning and told him I wanted to schedule an adult adoption for the week I turned 18. No half measures, no chances for my parents to twist things around. Paperwork over feelings, signatures over speeches. Done deal. Logan found out a few weeks later. I overheard him in the hallway bragging to his friends. He thinks he's getting adopted by rich people. Good luck with that. Nobody's going to replace blood. Then he laughed, like the joke was that I was dumb enough to believe it. He had no idea how wrong he was. 18 hits on a Tuesday. That looks like every other Tuesday. Except my name is printed on a courthouse docket, and my parents don't control it. Charles drives. Eleanor rides shotgun with a folder that has every document we've collected since the birthday folder stunt. No pep talk, No speeches. We park, go through the scanner, and follow the arrows to family court like we're picking up a package. The hallway outside the courtroom is a row of plastic chairs and bad lighting. A bulletin board lists the cases. My name is there next to petition for adult adoption. Clean, straightforward, no sentimental fluff. Charles checks the time. Eleanor double-checks the file. I sit. People pass by wearing that courthouse face that says they want to be anywhere else. A clerk opens the door, calls a different case, closes it again. 5 minutes later, I hear it. My father's voice, loud before he even appears. He rounds the corner with my mother on his heels and Logan drifting behind them like he's headlining a meet and greet. My father stops at the bulletin board, sees my name, points at it like he just discovered it. My mother says, "This is a mistake." Logan reads it and smirks like the punchline finally landed. They don't waste time. Dad points at the docket like he discovered it. "You can't do this. Watch me. Mom, we deserve a say." Charles, "The law already took your say." Bailiff, the look. Clerk waves me in. Adult adoption. Inside isn't Hollywood. Just a bench, a flag, a judge who's already read the file. Name, date, consent. No coercion, no payment. Charles and Eleanor confirm. Stamp. Order. Done. That's it. No confetti, no choir. The clerk stamps the order. The judge moves on to the next case. The bailiff opens the door. We step back into the hallway where my father is mid-rant to the air about process and respect. He sees the stamped order in Eleanor's hand and shifts to outrage mode like a light switch. "You can't replace us." I say, "I didn't. I replaced nothing. I chose who shows up." My mother tries gentle voice. "We want to support you." I hold up the order so there's no misunderstanding. "Support me by not contacting me." Logan finally leaves the wall and saunters closer. "So, they adopted you. Congrats on the upgrade package." He gestures at Charles like he's a salesman. "Does it come with a warranty?" Charles says, "It comes with responsibility." Logan whistles like he heard a dad joke. "Sounds expensive." My mother cuts in again. "We were scared. Twins were overwhelming." She glances at the bailiff for sympathy. He gives her the same blank look he gives everyone. She turns back to me. "We can start over." I say, "No." My father hates short answers. He needs speeches. "You're choosing strangers over blood." Eleanor says, "He's choosing guardians over managers." He snaps back, "We provided." Charles says, "We parent." My father points a finger at the order. "This is fraud." The clerk, who is not paid enough for this, says, "It's the law." My mother tries tears without the tears. "We never meant harm." Eleanor pulls a page from the file, my parents' own letter about picking me as the giveaway twin, and holds it in visible height just long enough for my mother to know exactly which page it is. My mother stares at the paper and says nothing. Logan goes back to jokes. "So what's next? A photo shoot? Family portraits with the new crew?" He looks at my father expecting a laugh. My father isn't laughing. He points at Charles. "You think money makes you a parent?" Charles says, "No. Showing up does." Logan shrugs. "Cool philosophy. Can I borrow it for my college essay?" My mother nudges him to be quiet. He smiles at her like he's humoring a fan. The bailiff clears his throat. Translation, wrap it up. I take my copy of the order. I look at my father and my mother and use plain words they can't spin. "Do not contact me again." My father starts to object. I hold up the stamped page like a stop sign. My mother tries a softer angle. "We'll host a dinner. A celebration. You can bring them." She nods toward Charles and Eleanor like they're staff. "We'll do it right this time." I say, "No." Logan says, "Man of few words today." I say, "That's all you get." We head for the exit. My father trails us, still talking. "You'll regret this. Family forgives." Charles slows enough to let a security guard slip between us. The guard does the escort without the hand touch. My mother keeps trying to catch my eye for an off-ramp. Not happening. The sliding doors spit us into daylight. The guard stays inside. My parents stop at the threshold like there's an invisible line. Maybe it's the fact that the hallway audience is watching. Maybe it's the order with the stamp. Maybe it's the guard 2 steps away. They hover. Logan pockets his hands and calls, "Don't be strangers," because he can't resist a line even when it's flat. Outside, Charles texts the attorney a thumbs up. Eleanor tucks the certified copy into the folder and says we'll pick up additional copies at records. No victory dance. We walk to the car. Behind us, my father launches into a fresh sermon for anyone who will listen about ungrateful children and legal loopholes. A couple on a bench stares at him like he's street theater. My mother tries to compose the version she'll send to relatives. Logan scrolls like he's already over it. The automatic doors close between us with that soft courthouse whoosh. In the parking lot, a minivan tries to reverse into a space that's too small. Charles guides them with two short words and a hand point. The driver nods like he just got a free valet. We get in our car. Before we pull out, my phone buzzes with a number I don't recognize. I don't answer. It leaves a voicemail that starts with "son" and ends with "call me back," because old habits die hard. I delete it without listening to the middle. On the drive home, we stop at Records and order certified copies. The clerk stamps everything, prints a receipt, and slides over the counter a sheet about name change options. I take it, not for drama, not for attention, just because paperwork likes companions. Eleanor says, "We'll file it whenever you're ready." I say, "Okay." Charles folds the copies into the folder with the same care he uses with everything else that matters. Back at the house, the mailbox flag is down. A delivery notice is tucked inside from the college about housing assignments. Eleanor pins the adoption order in the home file between insurance and deed, like it belongs with the permanent things. Charles sets an extra key on the counter and says, "We forgot to add the garage back door to your ring." I add it. It slides on like it was waiting. My phone pings again. New message request from my mother on a throwaway account. "We love you. Dinner tonight? Let's celebrate properly." Another from my father. A paragraph of spin about how today was a misunderstanding and we should repair the family brand together. Delete. Block spam filter learns 2 more tricks. Logan tries last word by text. "Congrats on winning paperwork. I'll win the rest." I type nothing. If he needs a scoreboard, he can build his own. Mine is an order with a stamp, a folder that isn't trying to erase me, and a front door I actually walk through without waiting for permission. At 5 p.m., the porch light clicks on because the timer says so. No one tells it to favor Logan. No one writes a speech about investments to justify electricity. Dinner is at 6 because Eleanor says it's at 6. Plates on the table. No photo wall tracking who got more peas. No side comments about who deserves dessert. No chair kept warm for a twin who wants applause before he sits. The adoption papers were barely cold when my father, my mother, and of course Logan, decided they weren't done humiliating themselves. It was a Saturday afternoon. Charles was pruning bushes in the front yard. Eleanor was reading on the porch, and I was inside enjoying the rare feeling of a house that wasn't plastered with shrine-level Logan photos. Then the driveway filled with the car I knew too well. Doors slammed, voices carried. Showtime. My father strutted up the walkway like he owned the property. My mother followed, holding a binder so thick it could double as a weapon. Logan trailed behind, hands in pockets, sunglasses on, smirk already locked in place. They didn't even knock. They marched right up the steps and started talking before anyone said hello. My father, "Congratulations on your paperwork. Now let's get serious." He said it like he was about to close a business deal. My mother opened the binder and flipped it around. Across the cover in shiny vinyl letters, Logan, candidate packet. Sections labeled with colored tabs. Headshots, achievements, leadership, press, metrics. It was like she'd turned Logan into a product brochure. She started flipping pages. Here's his comp card. 3 angles. He photographs beautifully. Colleges will eat this up. Achievements. Captain of soccer, homecoming court, most likely to succeed. We rounded the GPA to something more presentable. Leadership. His teammates worship him. Press. 2 local articles highlighted. Metrics. His followers doubled since he got the car. Eleanor didn't say a word. Charles just leaned on the porch rail and let her run the presentation. Logan leaned against the doorframe like he was the star of his own ad campaign, nodding along as his mother sold him like a luxury appliance. My father chimed in. "You've already adopted 1 twin. Now's your chance to upgrade. Trade the underperformer for the premium model. It's just common sense. Think of it as return on investment." My mother clapped the binder shut with a flourish. "We're practical people. You don't have to settle. Logan is the obvious choice." Charles didn't raise his voice. He just said, "We didn't adopt a vacancy." Eleanor added, "We're not holding auditions." Logan's coin flip smile didn't budge. "No hard feelings, bro. Some of us just make better deals." I stepped forward. "You had 16 years of say. You're done here." My father scoffed. "Don't be dramatic. We're offering you a way to fix this family. You take Logan, we all win." My mother nodded. "Be rational. You can still mentor him." She jerked her chin toward me like I was a defective appliance they wanted to leave behind. Charles pointed to the big black "no trespassing" sign posted on the porch post. "This is your last warning. Leave now." The neighbors had already gathered. 2 were standing on their lawns pretending to water plants while they watched the circus. My parents hate looking small in front of an audience. That's the only reason they turned back toward the car. Logan gave a mock salute as he followed them. My mother clutched the binder like it was the crown jewels. My father muttered about ingratitude. They got in the car, slammed the doors, and peeled out of the driveway. Binder still in her lap, Logan still grinning like it was all entertainment. Charles turned back to trimming bushes. Eleanor sat down and reopened her book. No applause, no speeches, just life moving forward. The portfolio pitch was their last real play. They thought they could barter Logan like a stock option. They thought Charles and Eleanor would drop me the same way they always threatened to. Instead, they got shut down on the porch in front of neighbors and a no trespass notice. For once, they were the ones who looked like background characters. The adoption was done. The no trespass porch scene was done. You'd think that would finally shut my father, my mother, and Logan down. Wrong. The only thing they hate more than losing control is finding out someone else is willing to give me things they never thought I deserved. Charles and Eleanor weren't subtle about it. They'd already bought me a car before the court date, just hadn't transferred the title because I couldn't sign as a minor. It wasn't flashy, no shiny dealership bow, no revving engine in a driveway, but it was mine, reliable, registered, and waiting in their garage with my name penciled in for the day I turned 18. They handed me the keys after the hearing with zero theatrics. Here, you'll need this for college. Logan loved to show off horsepower. Charles and Eleanor gave me transportation. Difference is, one was bragging rights, the other actually worked. Then came the big one, college. My parents had spent years explaining how Logan's tuition fund was an investment in the future that matters. Every time I asked, they said things like, community college is good enough for you. Charles and Eleanor didn't talk about it. They just showed me paperwork, a scholarship account in my name, every semester's costs prepaid, tuition, housing, books, fees. The school wouldn't be sending me bills. The school would be billing Charles and Eleanor directly. Problem solved. My mother once bragged that she got Logan's soccer uniforms dry cleaned. Eleanor showed me a letter from the university bursar with paid in full at the bottom. And then there was the trust. My father always talked about inheritance like it was a sword he could dangle over my head. Play along and you'll get your share. Except my share usually meant leftover crumbs after Logan's banquet. Charles and Eleanor skipped the performance. They sat me down, slid a folder across the table, and said, "This is the trust. You're the beneficiary. Starter distribution at 18. The rest later in stages, so you don't get buried in paperwork all at once." That was it. No threats, no conditions, no speeches about gratitude. Just signatures and a witness stamp. Of course, my parents found out. Gossip moves fast when they need it to. Suddenly, the same people who told me I was lucky they didn't dump me into foster care were calling me son again. My father left voicemails dripping with fake warmth. We've always been proud. Mistakes were made. Let's move forward together. My mother's messages leaned on guilt. Family forgives. We want to celebrate your success. She even mailed a card with a glittery, "Congrats, graduate," on the front, even though I wasn't graduating from anything yet. Then, the begging escalated. They wanted dinner. They wanted photos. They wanted to be seen with me again, now that there was money, a car, and tuition that didn't come from their wallet. Logan joined in too. His texts were masterpieces of smugness. Nice of them to give you training wheels. Call me when you're ready for the real car. Or, congrats on winning the paperwork lottery. I'll keep winning life. He wanted me to bite. I didn't. They even tried showing up one more time. Not with binders this round. This time my mother held a cake box from the grocery store. We thought we'd celebrate. The frosting had family scrawled across it in sloppy blue letters, like icing was going to erase 18 years. Charles didn't open the door. Eleanor called through the glass, "Leave it on the porch," and leave. They left the cake, snapped a picture, and posted it online like we'd had a reunion. Neighbors saw them leave 5 minutes later. Their act fooled nobody. Meanwhile, I drove my own car to campus. Moved into a dorm where nobody cared that Logan once won homecoming court. On move-in day, Charles and Eleanor followed with the SUV full of boxes. No speeches about sacrifice, no comparisons, just help carrying stuff up the stairs and Eleanor labeling drawers. They left a care package on my desk. Snacks, detergent, a mini toolkit. My parents once bragged about letting me keep leftovers. Charles and Eleanor made sure I could fix a squeaky chair. Back at their house, the mantel got a new photo. Me between them, holding the car keys they gave me. First time in my life I wasn't cropped out. Meanwhile, my father and mother kept sending digital messages that went straight to spam. Subject lines like "family heals" and "son, please call." Deleted without opening. Logan kept posting photos with captions like "the real heir" and "some twins are just built better." He could have the captions. I had the title deeds. That's the resolution. That's They wanted me begging for crumbs. Instead, I walked into adulthood with a car, college paid, and a trust account that listed me as the only beneficiary. They thought adoption was a game I couldn't win. Turns out it was the one scoreboard they couldn't rig.